Okay, so basically, this is how this whole story starts, right? I'm like 12 years old. I grew up in a very Christian household. My mom didn't make the best life choices, so my aunt raised me. With my aunt raising me, she was a pastor. So some of my earliest memories are from being in her church. I was always disruptive. I got in a lot of trouble for it. Like one of my very first memories, I shut down a whole church service because I was like 4 years old. I was hungry and I was like, they ain't talking about Jesus. Can we go home? And the whole church was like, ooh wee, out of the mouth of babes. So moving forward, like I was always that kid who was like, yo, like we shouldn't be doing this. Like, I don't know. I was always just trying to talk common sense into my friends, and it wasn't always the thing to do, you know, but that was me. I was always trying to talk common sense into my friends. One of my earliest memories is actually me being like Bible study camp and them like correcting the lady, like, hey, yo, you got this whole story wrong. Like, how you gonna sit here and teach kids? And I'm like 8 years old. Like, I was a mess. So anyways, I take, and me and my mom and my aunt were reading the Bible, and we're reading about the Nephilim. So, and if you don't know, they're basically the fallen angels that, like, we've all heard about, right? So, and we were talking about, like, the Elohim, and I turned to my mom, and I'm like, Mom, like, this sounds like the Greek gods. And she just, like, kind of looked at me, and she was like, you know what? I don't have all the answers, but, you know, maybe that's something that you'll find out for yourself. And I was like, bet. Give a little baby Virgo a learning mission and she gonna do it. And that's exactly what it is that I did. And I spent many years doing that exact thing, like really taking and watching Bible documentaries, watching all types of stuff and seeing what it was that I could find. Well, being a pastor's kid, it was really interesting as I grew up, because at one point I got into magic. Like, I remember the first time I started channeling messages, and like everybody just thought I was playing around, but like I had this British accent that literally just came out of nowhere. It's like we didn't have people around us who were British. We didn't watch like the BBC or anything like that. Like, I was not that child. I was watching documentaries. Like, so anyways, when this first started happening, like, I remember it, and I remember being like, bro, like, this, and that was around the time that I realized, like, bro, I don't feel like I'm from here. Like, I really feel like I am just here. Like, I came here on some, like, weird-ass mission, and basically, that's how it is that I've seen my life ever since. Like, I don't feel like I'm necessarily supposed to. Oh, shit, y'all. That was the wrong color. Like, I forgot that I might have actually accidentally bought the wrong color. But you know what? We're just gonna rock it. We're gonna, we will do our bestest, y'all, to not look like a Ghostbuster. Anyways, so moving forward, like, I always was like that drunk person that no one actually wanted to get drunk with, because like I would be twerking and talking about Jesus at the same time. It just didn't make no sense to nobody, including myself. And so moving forward, like, that was always like part of my life. And then when I got older, and this actually is where my experiences now start to come in. Like, I've always had like weird experiences, you know, just being able to like touch and tap people. And so growing up in the church, right, I was always told, and this is something that I've never really admitted to the world, but I was always told my position and like what it was that I was supposed to be doing and the gifts that I had. But the problem is that literally nobody in my life And I mean, nobody in my life could tell me, like, what it was that meant. Like, you keep on saying, like, I'm here to blah, 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 and, like, help people, but, like, nobody could ever explain it to me. Well, like, at 13, I think that's, like, what kind of tipped people off is, at 13, I had, like, this random, it was my very first, like, actual download, and can't tell you exactly what happened, but I can tell you, I walked into my mom's room, and I told her, the rapture is going to happen in my lifetime. I am not going to be raptured, so the Bible says, because I was meant to be here to help the humans. And my mom just kind of looked at me like, what the fuck are you talking about, child? Like, where the hell did this shit come from? She just, like, looked at me and she's like, I'm going to bed. Like, I don't know what you want, kid. Which is basically how my mom looked at me my whole life. But, like, it's not that she didn't believe me. It was just like, what do you do when your kid comes to you with this, right? So, we take, and I told her, I was like, this isn't gonna happen in your lifetime. This will happen after you're gone, but, you know, I'm really supposed to be here to, like, help save the humans. And so, and even now when I tell people this, like, when I tell my Christian family this, they're like, girl, like, that is the worst thing you can say. And I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, humanity really has to go on. Like, I don't know what it is that you guys think is gonna happen, but, like, human race is still a thing. Like, it goes on. This is not the first time that this has happened. So that being said, like, moving forward, I had this vision when I was like 22, 23, and it was like the weirdest thing, but like at the time I was vegetarian, so I was living like one of the holiest lifestyles you could really live, because all I did was go to church, go to work, come home, read my Bible, meditate, and like just chill. Like, I had no life, no social whatsoever. It's basically a training experience in my life, which I was okay with. You know, I really needed it. But one of these visions that I had was like me and a sea of people, and literally being like, why are we here? Like, I turned to this lady and she was like, you really don't know why we're here? And I'm like, no, like, boo-boo, would you like to fill me in? Because I'm, like, all kinds of lost here. And she's like, bro, we're here because you helped us. Like, everybody you see here, you helped. So I really just started to, like, focus in on this. Like, how is it that I'm supposed to get there? Because I know that I have, like, this mission that I'm supposed to do in this lifetime. So I start focusing in on this, you know, because I feel like I'm not living up to my potential. I've dealt with, like, mental health issues, all types of stuff. One thing about mental health issues that, this is why I don't play into the whole mental health thing, is basically, like, most of the time it's because somebody has some type of spiritual gift and the energy's stuck in them, and it messes with the mind. There are other times where there's, like, other things. To me, everything ties into spirituality, without a doubt. So, I'm, like, having a bunch of mental issues because I'm, like, I just feel like I'm not living up to my potential. I'm not doing what it is that I'm supposed to be doing. And it is literally taking a toll on me mentally, physically, like, everything. I was just... At one point, I wasn't eating. Like, I ended up losing, like, 100 pounds, like that. It was just crazy. Like, I was not okay within myself. My spirit was just screaming its little head off at me, like, save me. So, I end up with this roommate, right? And ended up being, like, one of my best friends. But during this time, he decides we gonna do some mind-altering. We're gonna have a mind-altering experience with some stuff that a lot of deadheads and whatnot would spend a lot of time doing, right? So, this is, like, so white, y'all. Like, it's okay. I will make it the work. But I'm like, okay, so this is like, we start doing it. And like, one thing I've always done, because my aunt said that this was something she did, right? She said that like when she decided she was gonna go out in the world and she was gonna do her thing, that she always asked permission. So my little black self was like, I'm gonna ask permission to do this. Not only am I gonna ask permission to do this, but I'm gonna do this with intent. I want to know the answers to my questions. I've been looking for the same answers to my questions for a long time now, and I'm gonna need these answers. So if this mind-altering experience is what it says that it is, I'm gonna need some answers. Lodi. You ask and you shall receive. I'm sitting there and I'm watching him play video games. And during this time, he stops for a minute, and while he stops, it's like this, it's the start screen. He's playing Destiny 2, and it's the start screen. And I just like lose it, because I'm like, bro, do you not see that? And at that point, I realized that time and space, like, it didn't exist. Like, you literally, the only thing that ties you to this moment is the fact that you're in a body. That's why, like, people who astral project and people who have access to, like, the Akashic records and things of that nature, that's why, they have that access, is because they're able to escape this body. And if you can learn how to do that, crazy things can happen. If you're interested in like a little more about that concept, go watch, it's called Bandersnatch. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but that's where like the concept kind of came in, and this happened like, actually it happened after I ended up doing the mind-altering experience stuff. So we do that, and like we realize like we were like, this moment was designed so like we could realize a bunch of stuff all at once. And I won't necessarily get into like all the things that we realized, but like it got deep. It got like super crazy for me. So we take and we're like talking and whatnot, and I realize, like I said, time only exists because we're stuck in this body. If we ever escape the body, then like time and space, it's not a problem. You can go anywhere, anytime. You can literally travel back. Like a lot of the times when people have flashbacks, there's a reason for that flashback, and it's not what people are really thinking. The reason why we end up having these flashbacks isn't so like we can be tormented or anything like that, but it's literally because of the fact that like with these memories, you can go back and you can help yourself. That's what your higher self is yourself from the future going back and helping yourself from the past, right? So like we just realized so much stuff. Like it was really just a crazy experience. But that's where the next day things started to like open up. I found the Sumerian text. I found all this information that I never knew was out there, and it really changed my life, because to me there's always been a connection with the Bible. Like I really feel like everything in the Bible connects in some way, shape, or form to everything. And it like really started to open up this this element a lot more for me. So like when I say I come from a Christian household, like we started before this, like a couple of years before, I was staying with a family member, and I had found out about the law of attraction. And we're sitting there, and I'm like looking over the law of attraction, and I'm like, bro, like this law is basically like how it is you're supposed to pray. Like you're supposed to make a request, and then after you make the request, you just start like living life as if it's so. Like you start bringing it towards you. And I'm like, bro, And like living with family, my family was like, no baby, no, that is not, that is Satan, the devil. And I'm like, no bro, like, are you really that close-minded? And that's why as we move forward, you will notice that I do talk a little bit of smack about those who choose to stay stuck in that kind of mindset. Like, why are we gonna stay there when we have like so many choices to better ourselves in so many different ways? Where's my cup? I probably put it right in front of my face. I did. But so I started looking into the Sumerian text, and I started like learning so much about myself, and not just myself, but like the world around us. And it just like started opening up all these avenues. And it's kind of cool because I ended up in this job. I had wanted this job for a very long time, and I don't know, things just didn't go so well. Like, I'm not even gonna sit here and like lie to anybody. I had like the worst experience. Everything was fine, and then all of a sudden things went bad. And that's kind of the theme in my life, or was a past theme, because I don't manifest things the way that I should. And I'm gonna be 100% honest about that. I do not always manifest things the way that I should. So, but I always knew that there was like something super special about me. So I started, I don't know, it's just like weird. One day it was, 2020, the New Year's going into 2020. I just so happened to find like a random like Virgo tarot card reading, and I had just started reading tarot again. I started when I was 18, and I scared myself. Like, I was Christian. I'm not even sure how I ended up with the things. Honestly, I remember being at Barnes & Noble, and I was just like, oh, these are cool. I'm gonna sneak these in the house, because I've always been like super drawn to magic, you know. And even though I grew up in a Christian household with like Christian parents and whatnot, my mom's favorite movie was Harry Potter. Like, I've watched Harry Potter more than a little bit, and that's mainly just because my mom really liked Harry Potter. So, like, I was the reason why it came in the house in the first place, but she was the one who took over the whole thing. The whole thing. So, with that being said, like, magic was always like a huge part. Well, nobody told me how real magic is. And you remember how I was talking about my roommate, and how like we realized a bunch of stuff. Well, one of the things that we realized is that in that moment, the both of us were like meant to be in each other's lives. Like, he was like, no, like, I feel like I was supposed to be here to like help you through this moment. Because one of the things that he said to me in that moment was, I need to learn how to like allow energy to flow, because I create a blockage, because I'm a channeler. I channel messages from spirit. I don't even know I'm doing it half the time. Like, people give me too much credit sometimes, because I'm just like, I be talking, and all of a sudden it's something that you've been looking for an answer for, and I'm just like, oh, well, that's cool. Bless your soul. But that being said, though, I love what it is that I do. But he was like, I feel like there's a reason why I was sent here. And I was like, yo, bro, like, I've been trying to tell you this shit for months. Like, there really is a reason why you were sent here. And like, we were on 2 different frequencies at the time, but basically we were meant to be in each other's lives. And I like, going forward, like some of the like meditations that I've had, I realized that like my mom, I picked the woman who raised me. I didn't pick my birth mother. Like, I could have done without her. But, like, I know that I picked the woman that raised me, because she was the most amazing woman I ever met. But I was taught really to be a spiritual being and not to allow things to, like, come in my way. So, that being said, like, I've always known that I was supposed to teach. I've always known that I was supposed to do something different. So, and then, like, when you start looking into the Bible, and I know, like, this video is, like, all over the place, yeah, I know, practical magic, yo, like, I really did not know that magic was real, and it probably is a good thing to tell your kids this. Like, I teach the kids around me, and people kind of look at me funny, but, like, I teach the kids around me, like, I teach them little things about magic. I'm not sitting here and, like, teaching them all the magical things, but I do teach them about magic and how it is real and how you can manifest things, because I feel like that's super important. We don't need a whole another generation growing up like we did, not knowing, not being able to really put a grasp on things, because unfortunately our parents not knowing kind of perpetuated our problem of not being able to know, not understanding. But, like, it took so long for me. Like, I've never felt at home, and but I've always known that, like, as a child, I literally spent so much time outside, literally just chilling with the moon, talking to the moon. Like, me and the moon are best friends. I've written stories about the moon and, like, all types of crazy stuff. Like, I just absolutely love the moon. And she was just, like, my best friend growing up. And then, like, moving forward, like, I realized there's probably a reason for that. Like, you know, there's, like, so many reasons why I never understood, or I never seemed to fit in. Like, I've never fit in. I'm gonna be completely honest. I have very few, like, actual friends. And when I say, like, friends, like, people who know how, like, weird and crazy and, like, weird I am, and, like, they still are my friends, because most people are like, lady, you cray, and I'm just like, yeah, hi. But, like, I don't know, I've always had this ability to just bring people in. And going back to, like, that random pick a card, it just, like, brought me into so much, where I ended up doing more like, wanting to do pick a cards, you know, wanting to help the collective and raise the frequency. And it actually really helped me find myself. So, and before that, I was at this point, and guys, I'm really just, like, I don't know what I'm doing to my face right now, but I really was at this point where I didn't know what I was doing. I knew that mental health I couldn't sit here and call myself crazy for the rest of my life. It wasn't going to work for me. I needed something to be able to grasp onto, and that was not it. You know, being or having to feel like I was crazy all the time was not going to work for me, because I'm not crazy. I may be misunderstood, yes. Crazy? No, I'm not. You know, and that's why I started doing what it is that I do, and, like, doing readings and helping people and learning more about astrology, you know, because I started learning astrology, ouch, when I was a little kid. I really just poked myself in the eye with, like, the back of the bristle. I don't know if anybody else saw that, but that ish hurt. Ewie. But I forgot what I was saying, because I stabbed myself. Man, aunt. Oh. It's like something else, yo. But I really started, like, I don't don't know, just honoring myself more. And I can't lie, like, when I started this, like, I wasn't thinking that it was going to end up where I am now. That I was going to end up doing the things that it is that I do. And doing readings and helping the collective on such a grand scale, because I know that I help people. And that's why for me, like, when people try and damn me and be like, oh, well, you're like basically Satan's child, like, no, bro, like, you're Satan's child, because at least I'm helping the collective. I'm raising the frequency, I'm raising the vibration. So basically I'm saying that to say, like, if you feel drawn to the occult, and here's the thing also, is that most of us in this generation, those who are in like their early 30s, or their early 30s and whatnot, like, most of them are drawn to the occult. Like, we have Pluto in Scorpio. That is an automatic draw to the occult. So people saying, like, trying to down us or make us feel bad because this generation believes so differently than the generations previous. We weren't meant to believe the way that the generations previous believe, because they're part of the problem. They're part of the reason why we haven't been able to raise the frequency, why this is still a prison planet. You know, that worked for them, but we have to bring in something different for the children that are underneath us. And I've said this a couple of times, but, like, we really have to, because the generations that come underneath us are not the same on, like, so many different ways. Like, they are not the same. Like, we are spiritually advanced. Like, there are certain placements within our charts, like, as a collective, those who are born within a certain time frame. There are certain things that are in our charts that tell us that we are spiritually advanced beings. That being said, the generations that are coming in underneath us, and that's why it's so important to get this right, is because the generations that are coming in underneath us are even more advanced than we are. We think that we have some type of advancements. No. Nay. We have way more. These children that are coming in, these children that are being born, are way more advanced than we would ever think of being. That's why it's so important for us to get it right within ourselves, is so when they grow up, they don't have to go through the crap we're going through. Just imagine, bro, somebody walking you through your spiritual journey when you were a kid, before puberty even started. And I honestly feel like if more parents could start doing this, then we won't have such a generation of kids who are out here trying to, like, do crazy stuff, right? Because if they know, hey, so part of the reason why I'm feeling depressed right now isn't me. It's because my friend Lizzie went through blankety blank 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 yesterday, and I spent a lot of time with her. Okay, well, let me see what it is that I can do within myself to help her through her situation so I can help me through this. You know, and being able to understand the transference of energy, because unfortunately that's something that not a lot of people understand. Like, when I met my old roommate, that was something that I just, like, it floored me about him, because I had never met anyone who understood, like, that's why transfer of energy. And basically how we found that out is he needed a back massage. That's how I ended up meeting my old roommate, is he needed a back massage. So I went over, I rubbed his back, and, like, I went to go shake it off, because that's something that my mom taught me from, like, a really young age, is, like, when you rub someone's back, or, like, when you touch someone who's in pain, you gotta make sure to shake off the energy, because if not, it'll just get trapped in your body. So, and I'm, like, telling him about that, and, like, we just kind of, like, looked at each other, because we're, like, literally finishing each other's sentences, and it's just like, whoa, bro. So, I don't know, it's just a lot. So, but I was also not taught to put God in a box. Like, I'm just gonna be honest. I will also tell you guys, I didn't actually have a script today. I didn't actually have a plan for my makeup today. These are two things that I normally have before I do anything. But, with that being said, with everything, I'm like honestly so grateful that I ended up meeting this particular person, because without them, and this particular person is my twin flame. And so, but that's like a whole nother story, or a whole nother, I will explain that stuff on a later date, because there's so much about like twin flames that people don't understand, and it's not a walk in the park, and it's not fun. But he really helped me, and I'm so grateful for that, because I would still be lost. I would still be trying to piece myself together and not being able to understand like what it was about myself. Like, for instance, I'm an empath, right? Like, a little bit more about me and my spiritual gifts. Number one, I'm an empath. Number two, I have very prophetic insight. Like, I've called a lot of events that have happened in the world, whether I've said it publicly or not. I've called a lot of them. I don't personally need or want public recognition for them. And the reason why I do tell people about my downloads more so now is just because, like, I realize that people need to hear about them. People need to know about them. But other than that, like, I really do be trying to keep as much of that stuff to myself as possible, because I don't want to freak anybody out. I get freaked out. Some of the downloads that I have gotten they've rocked my whole little boat. Like I told you guys, when I had this, epiphany, I guess, this download when I was 13, it really rocked my boat. It's part of the reason why I haven't been able to get further in life than I am now, is because something would happen in the world and my poor little spirit, the human part of me, would get petrified. Like, I'm never going to be able to accomplish my dreams. Now I realize that I was looking at it the wrong way. But at the same time, I needed to also go through those moments where I was unsure and I was afraid of just life itself. Like, it's messed up as that is, and that sounds, like, I legit needed that in my life. Okay. I legit needed that in my life. Sorry, I just had a whole thought, y'all. I really did. But it's messed up, though. It really is, to have not had the guidance. And I think that's why I do stress so hard that it is so important for us to teach our kids, is because, y'all, I could have been so much further. I could have helped the collective 10 times over. You know, I could have been so much further in life. Granted, there's a reason for everything, and I'm grateful that I'm at least doing this, that I'm at least doing something to push myself forward. But if somebody hadn't been able to tell me, like, hey, baby, this is what it is. You're an empath. You have psychic abilities, but nobody wanted to say psychic. Everybody wanted to use biblical terms. Okay, well, what does being a prophet mean? What does it mean? Read the Bible. Well, the only prophet I can understand is Jesus. So you're telling me I'm supposed to be like Jesus? Okay, well then I should understand the story of Jesus. And that's actually going to be the next video, because we going to talk about Jesus. Anyways, so I'm sitting here and I'm like, okay, well, Who is Jesus? And when I'm looking at the story of Jesus, all I see is a man who is like, bro, you as the church got things up. I hate this. I really hate this mascara, bro. And it's MAC. And it's super expensive, obviously, because it's MAC. But it always gets all over. Like, and Lord forbid I tear up just a little bit and I just stab myself in the eye. So I know it's going to be all kinds of... I do not like this eyeliner or this mascara. I need to stop using it. I do better with some, like, Maybelline. Maybe she's born with it. But... Oh, shit, y'all. I really did just biff it and forget what I was talking about at the same time. Oh, about Jesus and being able to understand this. But I'm like, bro, like, every time I look at Jesus, he's telling the church, like, y'all are doing it wrong. And then I'm going to church and I'm looking at these people, and these people are doing exactly what the Jesus told them not to do. Like, how is it you are going to tell me one thing and then do another? And it just wasn't working for me. So I ended up, partially because the church that I belong to, and I ain't gonna say no names, but they're a little small church here in my town. But the church I was going to, they, judgmental, backbiting, me and my best friend left because there was an incident in the church with the pastor's family member. Okay, pastor called my best friend freaking out on her and her mama. Here was the problem with this problem. When this whole issue ended up first coming up, I was on the phone with my best friend, and she was like, bro, like, things are going crazy right now. What do I do? Like, you know, my family's involved in this. Like, what do I do? And I'm like, girl, I love you, and I understand that that's your family, but you need to take your blackness home. And I'm on the phone with her the whole time, and she did exactly what I suggested for her to do. She went and she took her blackness home. So when the church starts calling and going off about my best friend, I'm like, whoa, bro, like, why are we going off on her when she wasn't even there? She had nothing to do with this situation. So, and it was just like a lot of stuff like that, like people trying to cause problems all the time. And I just saw this in like so many churches. I remember there's this one pastor, because I used to mentor for a youth group. And there's this one pastor who was earning $2,500 a month to preach about zombies, Jesus in Zombieland. And I'm like, where? I mean, he might have had a point, but he was not, we do not serve the same God, yo. Like, and I'm not saying because the one thing I have to tell everybody here, so nobody gets this misconception, Dottie J, am not a Christian. I was raised Christian, yes. Am I a Christian? No. Do I have a lot of Christian values? Yes. I will admit that. Do I believe in all the crap? Heck no. Techno? Obviously, because it didn't work for me when I was in the church. It doesn't work for me now, because I started seeing the reason why so many people were walking away from the church. You know, I have family members that I don't even talk to anymore because I'm tired of them trying to put me in hell. Like, I'm gonna just be honest. I'm tired of them trying to put me in hell. That's part of the thing that makes what it is that I do so difficult sometimes, because it's like, if I say something, is somebody automatically just gonna try and put me in this box for hell? Like, I can't tell you how many times my own family members have called me Satan. You know, not just the whole you going to hell thing, but have literally called me freaking Satan, you know? Like, ooh. When I'm like telling them the truth, you know? And that's truly, to me, an issue, because nobody deserves to be attacked for telling the truth, you know. And unfortunately, a lot of the people who do the attacking are the people who claim to be all love, light, and joy and happiness, and they're supposed to be the epitome of joy, and they're not. You know, they're the epitome of everything that people don't want to be. So I teach a lot from the Bible because I'm a pastor's kid, and I have a 9th house Cancer moon. In case you don't know what that means, that basically means I will never stray away from what Mama taught me at all. But Mama didn't teach me to put God in no box. Mama told me that God don't belong in a box. You know, she told me all types of stuffs. You know, so I knew, as I got older, I knew that magic ran in my blood. Like, my mom told me I could tell you things. Like, she was like, I could tell you things that I could, but I won't, because you'll use them. And I as an adult now, who I have littles underneath me, and these littles, they're magical. Like, I can't even lie. Like, they're so super magical. It's kind of ridiculous. Like, I'm just like, where did you become this magical? You know, like, what is the stardust you were born with? Because they are just crazy magical. But I look at them, and I can't lie. There's 2 of them, because I have 3 littles under me. And there's 2 of them, I'm like, I will teach you my legacy. But there's one that I will not. And the reason being, she'll use it. I can teach the other ones love, light, and magic, and happiness, but the other one's gonna find a way to use it to her advantage. I'm just gonna be honest. You know, because honesty is my favorite policy. She's gonna find a way to use it to her advantage. And I don't want to teach her anything that's gonna be a detriment to her soul. So I understand now why my mom said that. Then I was like, why you holding back, old lady? You know, but it's just crazy to me knowing, like, how magical my life has always been, you know, how divinely protective I've always been, because there have been many moments in my life where I shouldn't be here. Like, I just shouldn't. My life should have ended quite some time ago, but I'm still here. So that means I got something to do, yo. That means that I need to figure out the algorithm to being the brightest star. Something's in my eye, yo. Something's in my eye. Hold on.